Hey guys, tomorrow is Thanksgiving and there is much to be thankful for because I just received this package in the mail and inside of it is the Robinhood Gold Card that I've been waiting over a year to get. So in this video, we're going to unbox it together. We're going to see how it compares to the JP Morgan Reserve card in terms of feel, look, weight, and we're also going to go over the really interesting reward structure that I think makes this card unique and might just make it my daily driver going forward. All right, so as I move some stuff out of the way here to get this card unboxed for you guys, I'll give you just a little bit of a background. I've been on the wait list for this card since sometime in March of 2024, and I just received it here in November of 2025. I've seen some people get off the wait list sooner than others. I honestly don't have any strategies if you're looking for any to get off. I tried emailing them a couple times, didn't get much in the way of a response, and then one day it just said, you're off the wait list, and the card came very soon after that. So it's in this unassuming cardboard box here, and it's a lot smaller than other cards. Let's rip this open real quick. Wow, that was pretty firm. All right, and it opens up, and there is a little black envelope in here. And oh, the card is just trying to fly out. Okay, here it is. It has a nice kind of soft finish to it. I don't want to say matte. It's almost like a pleathery feel to it, and it's got some nice embossing. Really gives you the feel that this is the Robinhood Gold Card, and I think they went with the black background to really make the gold stand out. Let me see if I can get it to glimmer for you a little bit here. And then inside we have the card itself. You can see that it fell out of the holder, but it would have fit right in there just like that. So this is a first impression of the card right there. And honestly, my first impression is it looks pretty slick. I don't know yet how much of a fan I am of how clean this card is. I almost feel like it's too clean. Almost like, sure, it has the Robinhood logo, but it almost feels like it's not even a real card. You know, it doesn't have my name on it. It just has a logo. It doesn't have any words. To give you a side-by-side, here is the JP Morgan Reserve. Both of these side-by-side. And the JP Morgan just has a little bit more to it. It's got a nice big text-based logo that looks like a big signature, and it's got my name there in all caps. And so that's kind of what I mean when I say that I feel like the Robinhood, this gold card's almost a little bit too clean. In terms of feel, they both feel about the same. That's really interesting. These feel, in terms of weight, I'm gonna guess that the JP Morgan is very slightly heavier. I actually don't know the exact weight of the Robinhood Gold Card. I didn't look that up. So I think this is slightly heavier. In terms of bend and sturdiness, it's really close. I would say the JP Morgan is just ever so slightly stiffer than the Robinhood Gold Card. I feel like Jerry rig everything here, bending credit cards. And then let's see if I can get this here without flashing the number. There we go. Yeah, this just feels a little bit stiffer than the Robinhood Gold Card does. And what I like about this card is there's no number on it at all. But again, even on the backside, it's, I don't know, it just feels a little too clean. You might like that. You might like that feature about this card. It might take a little bit of getting used to for me. It kind of reminds me of the Apple Card, which just has almost nothing on it. But yeah, you know, everyone has their own taste. So let's go ahead and weigh these two cards and see which one is heavier. Because I know when it comes to premium credit cards, weight is a pretty big factor, as well as the infamous drop test to see which one clangs louder when you drop it at the dinner table with your friends. So first I'll do the JP Morgan. You got the JP Morgan, the so-called reigning champ. We'll do this in grams. And we got the JP Morgan at 21 grams. Just make sure that I got that right. Yeah, about 21. I thought it was 22 for some reason, but I guess it's 21. And we got the Robinhood Gold coming in at 17. Okay, so actually even the difference is even bigger than I thought it was going to be. That is just 17 flat. That's not even pretending to be 18. And you know, when I feel them, I can kind of feel that difference now that I think about it. So the Robinhood Gold, it looks like it's at about 17 grams compared to the JP Morgan's at 21. Let's see how they sound when I drop them on a hard surface here. Let me move some of this out of the way. All right, so that doesn't look the cleanest, but I've moved my desk mat out here a little bit. So first up, we've got the JP Morgan Reserve. I'm just gonna drop this down, you know, spending a little $500 at dinner or something like that. Here you go. It's got a pretty thick sound to it. Not a lot of, you know, vibration, reverberance to it. Now we got the Robinhood Gold. Here we go. Huh. I gotta be honest with you, I feel like they're kind of the same. They've got that, both got that very, very thick plastic sound. They don't sound very metallic. I know this isn't a very metallic surface, but I feel like it's relatively close to like a dinner table or some, you know, table you would throw it down on. But they honestly sound about the same. Maybe a little bit more of a thud with a JP Morgan. Kind of depends on how you throw it. All right. Now, one quick note on the first impression before I move on to the benefits is I do want to give a lot of credit where credit is due with this card. I know a lot of people really prefer a heavy, thick, sturdy, metallic card, and you typically only get this type of card and quality from something like a JP Morgan Reserve or a Chase Sapphire Reserve or an Amex Platinum. And a lot of times these cards can have annual fees that are up in the hundreds of dollars per year. And the fact that you can get a 3% cashback all-around card that has this level of quality and look and feel to it, I think is really quite remarkable. And I think it sets the Robinhood Gold card apart. And honestly, just that alone would get me to carry this as part of my daily driver. It probably wouldn't be the only card, but it would be in my quiver, so to speak. And when you have it with another card, whether it's the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the Apple card, which has a really nice solid feel to it, or the JP Morgan Reserve, it just really completes that look of having a slew of really premium, clean looking cards. Okay, so let's talk about the benefits that come with this card. Of course, the flagship benefit is going to be the 3% cash back no matter where you use it. In terms of everyday carry credit cards, that makes this very competitive, especially compared with a lot of standard cards that I would typically recommend. The one that I use is the Chase Freedom Unlimited. That one gives you 1.5% back everywhere, but 3% everywhere is much more competitive than what I'm getting currently with my Chase Freedom Unlimited. And this card is advertised as having no annual fee, but that's not entirely true because in order to get this card, you do need to be a Robinhood Gold member. Currently, as of the recording of this video, the cost for that membership is either $5 a month or $50 per year. And depending on how you use that membership, there are actually a lot of perks included across the Robinhood brokerage app as well as on the credit card side. So I would say while there is an annual fee, it's definitely not near as much as what other credit cards charge, and you do get a lot more value in the Robinhood ecosystem than you do with other credit cards and their typical annual fees. And another feature this card has is 0 foreign transaction fees, which I think is a pretty interesting benefit that you don't get with similar cards like the Chase Freedom Unlimited, which does have a foreign transaction fee. And typically you need to get a travel card, which often have at least a $100 per year annual fee, and in some cases even higher, around $700 per year. Now, once you have the card and you start earning points, there are a number of interesting ways that you can redeem them within the credit card app. The first one is that you're able to exchange points for a limited edition solid gold card. There are two options that you can choose from. There's a 36 gram card and then there's a 24 karat 24 gram card. To get the solid gold card, it is going to run you 850,000 points. And if you're earning 3% back on all your purchases, you're going to need to spend a total of $283,333.33 in order to earn enough points to get this card. And at today's gold prices, 36 grams of solid gold is going to be just over $4,000. So you're kind of spending over $250,000 just to get $4,000 worth. The 24 karat gold, on the other hand, only takes 100,000 points, and that one's going to set you back a total spend of $33,333.33. But this card is just gold plated. It is not solid 24 karat gold, hence the much lower threshold to earn this card via points. Okay, so the next interesting way you can redeem points with the Robinhood Gold Card is the mystery box feature. And I've seen a few other videos here on YouTube, and they tend to gloss over this feature and kind of write it off as something that's not worth your time. But I want to challenge that perception and show you a little bit of the math I did behind this feature. So since this is a sort of lottery-based game, Robinhood is required to publish the actual odds of getting each of the rewards in the mystery box, and you can see them here on this table, and it's a little bit unclear at first whether or not it's worth it. For example, you can get, and I decided to put all of these reward scenarios into a spreadsheet to math out whether or not it would be worth it, and these are divided up into two scenarios. In the first scenario, I assume that if you get a reward where you're not getting a flat amount of points, for example, 5% cash back for 24 hours, you're spending the bare minimum to break even on the amount of points that you put in to get the mystery box. For reference, each spin or draw of the mystery box will cost you about 1,000 points. So if you were to get the 5% back for 24 hours reward, you would need to spend about $200 over that 24-hour period in order to get back 1,000 points and break even on your little bet that you made in the mystery box. And I made two small assumptions with this scenario to make it just a little bit more realistic for the average person watching this video. So for the DoorDash and Uber Eats example, I'm assuming that you're only going to spend $50 on that order to get 5% back, even though the cap is $300. And for the phone bill, I set that one to about $100 because I feel like most people I know, their phone bill is around $100 per month. It's not quite $200. And then for the last step to really see if this is worth it, we take all of the expected points values from each of these rewards and multiply them by their probability to get the expected value. And then when we sum up this column, if it's more than 1,000 points, aka the 1,000 points we put into the mystery box, then on average it should be worth it to play this little game. If it's less than 1,000 points, then on average it's not going to be worth it. So if I go over here and add these all together, you can see that the average expected value is 1,066 points. So it is technically worth it to play this little mystery box game, assuming that you're spending these amounts with respect to the highlighted cells that I mentioned just a second ago, anytime you get one of these other reward categories. But the second scenario is where things get a little bit more interesting. So for each of these rewards, there is a spend cap. For example, if you get the 5% cash back for 24 hours, you can technically spend up to $3,500 and get 5% back on that capped purchase. Now, this does lead to some pretty unrealistic expectations. For example, I don't know how many folks are going to be ready to spend $3,500 in 24 hours if they get that reward. And same thing for the 30-day reward, you would need to spend $10,000 to hit that cap. But I wanted to run these numbers just to see what this would look like. And the results were honestly a little bit eye-opening because the expected value I get for this is 4,000. So this would imply that if you are a big spender and you're ready to hit these spend caps for any of the rewards you get in the Robinhood Gold mystery box, you could theoretically or technically 4x the amount of points that you're putting in on average. Now, before you get excited and, if you have this card, before you go spending all of your spare points on the mystery box, there is a caveat that I want to say with this, and that is, even though the average expected value amount for even that base case scenario is technically higher than the amount of points you have to put in for the mystery box, there's a reason why Robinhood is putting this feature in, and that's because they know that on average, the average person who's going to take advantage of this feature is not going to get as much back as they put in. Now, at the end of the day, you get to choose how you use your points, so I'll tell you how I'm going to use this. I am going to play with the mystery box feature a few times. I'll probably run it, 5, 10, 15 times, see if I can kind of get ahead, maybe get the 10,000 point reward or the 5,000 point reward. And either when I get to around 10 or 15 times, if I haven't gotten much out of it, then I'll just stop using it after that. If I do hit it big, then I'll just stop there and take those points while I got them.
And ultimately, I think it's a fun little gimmick. Now, there are a slew of other benefits that I like to think of filler benefits that Robinhood put in there. For example, there's some merch you can get, you can exchange for gift cards, you can get a little bit of a discount on gas when you redeem points. I personally don't think that those are worth mentioning. If you want to research them, you can find them elsewhere online. But the last benefit I want to talk about is the 3% cashback everywhere, because there is a catch. And the catch is that you can't simply just apply your points to your credit card statement and expect to get the full 3% value. In fact, Robinhood says within the app that you will get less than the actual points value when using the statement credit feature. In order to get the full 3% back, you do need to have a Robinhood brokerage account, and there's a separate area where you need to redeem those points and have them transferred into your Robinhood brokerage account. Robinhood obviously wants to add an extra little step to get your rewards exchanged into cash and then into your brokerage account so that maybe you'll invest it, which Robinhood will make money every time you trade on their platform. With that being said, it's not the worst redemption mechanic I've ever seen, but it just adds a few extra steps to the process. So that is my unboxing and first impressions review of the Robinhood Gold Card. If the JP Morgan Reserve caught your eye, I did a full unboxing that you can watch here. Or if you're interested to know what are the top 3 cards that I think everyone should have in their wallet, you can check out this video over here. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.